Hey dudes!
Quiet, Tim.
What are you watching?
What I've just finished watching and what I'm trying to watch the end of is the Netflix Jeffrey Dahmer series.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Really? It's somehow I doubt that, Tim. It's only just come out, and I'm the only one with a TV on the island.
Yeah, but one of the workers left his phone here, and I watched it on that.
Well, prove it then.
Well, he just asked me a question. I'll answer it.
All right then. Let's look at these notes I've taken down. Jeffrey Dahmer was born on May the 21st, 1960 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was a firstborn son of Joyce and Lionel.
Why can't you read the next bit?
No, you fool, you're the one who's meant to. If you know so much, you should know the answers to these.
Well, like fill in the blanks and that.
Yes.
Oh yeah, got it now. You're okay. Then go again.
Oh, Jesus. Right, Jeffrey Dahmer was born on May the 21st, 1960 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was the firstborn son of Joyce and Lionel.
Richie.
Richie? It's Dahmer, you idiot.
Yeah, but Lionel Richie's pretty good though. That's it. Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, Tim, yes. Jeffrey was described as an energetic, quite a happy young child until the age of 4 when he had surgery to correct a double
breast augmentation.
Hernia, which seemed to change the boy.
Well, I was close. If he had a breast augmentation, it would have changed the boy as well. he would have been a bird.
Not necessarily. He could have been a fat kid trying to get a reduction to look more like a boy without tits. Conditions of the Dahmer household were also less than ideal for a developing child because Jeffrey's father was
getting around in his mum's 90.
No, he was rarely home, but that would actually explain a few things if that were the case. Jeffrey's father was rarely home. He was either working or studying, and his mother, who was a hypochondriac and attention deprived in the marriage, suffered from depression and spent most of her
spare cash on Band-Aids and vibrators from the sex shop.
No, she spent most of her time in bed, although with that equipment she probably could have had a better time than she did. Thus resulting in the kids having a better lifestyle because Mum would be more happy. But she wasn't, and Jeffrey and his younger brother David were often neglected. Still, as Jeffrey himself later said, his childhood was not filled with any great tragedies or anything like that. It was pretty normal up until the point where Jeffrey got involved in or interested in dead animal carcasses. So basically what he would do is he'd find them out in the bush or the woods and he'd take them home and to study them. And his father, Lionel, when he was home, he said,
"Don't go shagging the animals."
No.
Don't go shagging the animal carcasses?
Again, no, he said, "Good on you, son. In fact, I'll show you how to bleach the animal's bones and give you some skills that you might be able to use later in life." I bet he regretted that one.
Yeah, I always get the shits when all my bleach is used up.
No, I mean because he went on to kill 17 people and, anyway. By his teens, Jeffrey was a loner, disengaged and...
wishing at this point he had a conjoined twin brother.
Why would he want that?
Oh, because then you got a constant friend with you.
But he was a loner.
Yeah, he can still be generous and give people stuff.
I meant a loner like he wants to be by himself, you dickhead. When he went off to school, his school friends and teachers said he was polite and intelligent, even though his academic success was average, and he was more interested in drinking, playing pranks, and dissecting animals than his grades. Experimenting with alcohol is pretty normal for teenagers, but by the age of 14, Jeffrey was already a
trained vet.
He was already a heavy drinker. When asked why he drank so much, Jeffrey answered, "It is my medicine." But medicine for what? Nobody ever asked that, and Jeffrey most likely would have told the truth. Anyway, his heavy drinking was meant to suppress his growing urges, both sexual and homicidal. Unfortunately, in the end, alcohol was not the answer to either, and going through puberty, Jeffrey realised he was...
growing hairs on his balls.
No, he realised he was homosexual, though he hid it from his family, but he didn't hide it from himself. And around the same time, Jeffrey had his first sexual encounter with a
Catholic priest.
First sexual encounter with another man. He began having obsessive thoughts of violence and sex put together, and from there it only got worse and worse. Finally, his obsession grew so strong, he
had a wank whilst watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No, he began to plan to abduct a man to satisfy these desires. But there was a couple of problems. First of all, one, Jeffrey still lived with his parents, and two, he didn't have the nerve to actually do it. All that changed in 1978 when Jeffrey's parents
bought him a copy of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and said, "Hey Jeffy, we're going out tonight for dinner, so if you want to do something while you're watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, i.e. have a wank or something like that, then you probably got about 4 hours up your sleeve till we're back, if you want."
No, they got divorced, and as a result, both Lionel and Joyce moved out of the family home, and Jeffrey was left alone in the house for most of that summer. Finally, he had an opportunity to turn
his mum and dad's house into a roller disco.
No, to turn his sick fantasy into a reality. And from this time, he pretty much just got pissed and spent most of his time drunk and fantasizing about murder. These dark fantasies become a bloody reality on June 18, 1978, when Jeffrey was coming back from the liquor store and spotted an attractive
Canadian lumberjack dressed up like Jimmy Poodle.
An attractive young man hitchhiking. That man was 18-year-old Stephen Hicks, who was trying to get to Cleveland for a rock concert. Jeffrey pulled up and said, "Hop in." For reasons unknown, Stephen agreed to stop at Jeffrey's house for a drink before heading off to the concert. That decision would ultimately cost him
$20 for fuel money.
It would cost him his life. The two spent time talking and drinking at Jeffrey's house, but Stephen had other things to do. He eventually tried to leave. Jeffrey tried to stop him, but Stephen pushed him off. And as he did so, he turned his back on Jeffrey, who then grabbed a 10-pound dumbbell and
tried to impress Stephen by doing arm curls in front of him.
No, he swung the dumbbell at Stephen's head and killed him instantly. Just like that. Finally, he had done what he'd waited for so long to do. He celebrated then by laying next to Stephen's body for some time before masturbating over it. When he was done,
he thought to himself, "A minute ago my room had 2 stiffies in it. Now it's only got 1.
No, his mind drifted back to his childhood days where he was dissecting animals. Sometimes serial killers get rid of the bodies quite quick and don't find pleasure in the cleanup. But Jeffrey, this was part of his ritual. He spent hours dismembering the young man's body before burying the remains in a crawl space under the house. Later that summer, Jeffrey dug up the remains and dissolved the flesh with acid and
sang "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds."
What?
Maybe.
Oh, fuck this.
And going to an ad in 3, 2, 1.
Do you have trouble finding answers to all those hard-to-answer dating questions? Why not pick up the phone and call Brad and Randall's Dating Problem Hotline and get that special night back on track? Hello, Brad and Randall's Dating Problem Hotline.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
I'm going out on a date this Wednesday, and I really want to impress him. I've got a bit of a cold, and I feel a bit under the weather, but don't want to really cancel. What should I do?
How about sending me a photo of yourself in this year's latest swimwear?
Sure, I'll do it right away.
That'd be great.
Thanks, Brad and Randall's Dating Problem Hotline. You've really helped me out.
Don't be left wondering what could have been. Pick up the phone now and dial 1-800 Brad and Randall's Dating Problem Hotline, like this satisfied customer did. Brad and Randall's Dating Problem Hotline.
Hello, I've been seeing this guy for a while and I really want to settle down. He says he's committed, but I'm just not that sure. What do you think I should do?
Could you send me a cropped photo with you and him without him in it, and perhaps poolside, sunset, that kind of theme?
My pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Brad and Randall's Dating Problem Hotline. You've really made a difference. You've really changed my life.
Here at Brad and Randall's Dating Problem Hotlines, we do change lives, and we cater for everyone. Brad and Randall's Dating Problem Hotline.
Just after a good time, mate.
Is that you, Dave?
It is. Brad, do you know, I've got an iPhone, do you know how to turn off caller ID?
Well, almost everyone. So remember, folks, For all the answers to your dating problems, phone Brad and Randall's Dating Problem Hotline, because we care. Hello, Brad and Randall's Dating Problem Hotline.
Hi,
Is that a baby in the background?
maybe.
Maybe. How can I help?
I don't know what it is I'm doing wrong, but I cannot get a man. I'm pretty good looking, but
Yep.
no matter what I do, it just does not seem to work out for me. I'm not fussy at all.
Not fussy at all?
Not at all.
Do you mind if I send you a photo? Well, what can I say? Win some, lose some. It's Brad and Randall's Dating Problem Hotline. We're here to help you and ourselves.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, it's Chrissy.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Chrissy.
Hi, narrator.
Hi, Christine.
Okay, let's get back into it in 3, 2, 1. Wait, what are we doing?
Oh, we're just playing a guessing game. It's really easy. It's about Jeffrey Dahmer and that Netflix thing. Well, which Tim has no fucking idea about. Truth's just proving that right.
And action.
Yes, he dug up the remains and dissolved the flesh with acid and crushed the bones to dust. He now knew that not only could he commit the act of murder, but he could also successfully make face paint out of the crushed up bones if you add a bit of water.
Oh my God, that's ghastly.
Not only is it ghastly, it's wrong. He could successfully dispose of the remains. From that point on, Jeffrey Dahmer had taken his first steps towards a horrific path that he couldn't get off. He stated that once it happened the first time, it seemed like it had control of his life from there on in. Still, it'd be some time before Dahmer took his next victim. His father thought he should join a circus. No.
I know, thought he should start painting.
Oh, Christ, not you as well. No. Thought he was lazy, a lazy drunk, and started to whip him back into shape. He convinced Jeffrey to enroll at the Ohio State University, but he dropped out after one term due to coming to the realisation he wanted to be a professional skateboarder. Due to his heavy drinking, afterwards he served
Casserole at a shelter for the homeless.
as a combat medic in the US Army for 2 years before his alcoholism and sexual urges became a problem once again. It later come to light that Jeffrey had an overdue video he never took back. It was probably Texas Chainsaw. Oh no, his parents bought him that, didn't they? Your version of events. Home Alone, I'd say.
Oh, I love Macaulay Culkin.
So did Michael Jackson. It was a bit darker than that. It later come to light that Jeffrey had drugged and raped 2 other soldiers during his time in the army after being honourably discharged for rape. Jesus Christ, that's a bit dishonourably in my books. He was eventually sent to his grandmother's house in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 1981, a year after the Moscow Olympics. For years, Jeffrey tried to suppress his hunting rifle with a Coke bottle, a plastic Coke bottle. We've tried it. To suppress his urges and live a normal life. He got a job in the Ambrosia chocolate factory. He was a right little Willy Wonka's worker. Oompa Loompa, they called him. And back to the action. He was and was going to church with his grandmother every Sunday. Unfortunately, playing the good grandson didn't last long. He would go on to commit numerous sex crimes, including masturbating in front of
Oncoming traffic.
shop windows, children,
My God.
and drugging and raping men at gay bathhouses. Eventually, in 1987, Dahmer decided that he would make a very respectable Santa Claus if he grew a big white beard and belly.
No, that he'd learned tap dancing because his life was missing dance.
Wrong and wrong. What he was doing was still not enough and needed more. So on November the 20th, 1987, Jeffrey met a young man named Stephen Toomey at a gay bar, Club 219 as it were, and persuaded him to return to the Ambassador Hotel where the two drank heavily, and when Jeffrey woke up the next day, with no memory of the previous night or his activities, Stephen was dressed in a miniskirt with roller skates on.
Doing circles of the room saying, "Catch me if you can."
No, he was dead. Clearly been beaten and strangled this time. Jeffrey panicked, but after calming down, he put Stephen's body in a large suitcase and transported it to his grandmother's basement. There he began.
To wish that he bought one of them suitcases with wheels on it, because it was really heavy, I'd imagine.
No, he began his ritual of dissecting the body, setting Stephen's head and genitals aside. There had been 9 years between Dahmer's first 2 victims, but from here his victim count accelerated. He began actively seeking out young men at gay bars and luring them back to his grandmother's house with promises of
cakes. Yeah, and sugar sandwiches.
Well, parties and booze, or offering them money to pose nude. In reality, they'd stepped into Dahmer's house of horrors, where his depravities quickly began to spiral out of control, and soon drugging, raping and killing was simply not enough. Instead, he began drilling holes into the
kitchen floor in case he left the sink. You know, if the sink got blocked and the water overflowed. I've done that at home, and it would have been better if I had holes in the floor for drainage.
Into the heads of his victims while they were still alive. Jeffrey would then pour hydrochloric acid or boiling water into his victim's brain in hopes of making them his mindless sex slave. Unsurprisingly, Jeffrey's experiments were not a
patch on what his grandmother was up to in the other room.
Don't start rumours about the old gal, Chrissy. No, Jeffrey's experiments were not a success. He would also keep the skulls of his victims as trophies after first taking photos of the corpses. Also around this time, he decided to dabble in cannibalism. In May 1990, Jeffrey moved out of his grandmother's house and into an apartment that would later become the infamous Apartment 213. 924 North 25th Street, Milwaukee. By summer 1991, he was murdering
lyrics and killing beats as he took on a new career as a rap artist.
Approximately 1 person per week. Dahmer's reign of terror could have been brought to an end sooner on the morning of May 27, 1991, when one of his victims, a 14-year-old Conorak synthesonphone, was able to run out onto the street naked and bleeding, but unfortunately the police officer who arrived at the scene believed Dahmer when he told him that Conorak was his 19-year-old lover. Not wanting to get involved, the police simply looked at him and said, "How could you be in love with this bloke for 19 when he is only 19? He would have only been a baby when you started." Anyway, they didn't want to get involved, and they escorted Jeffrey and the boy back home, sealing the young man's fate, and officers returned to the station unaware that they'd pretty much given the boy a death sentence. Fortunately, Tracy Edwards had more luck. On July 22nd, 1991, Jeffrey had offered
to mow his lawns wearing nothing but underpants for the whole of summer.
Oh, get me a seat. No, he'd offered him $100 to accompany him to his apartment to pose for nude photographs, drink beer, and simply keep him company. Once inside the apartment, Dahmer wrestled
in a little kiddie's pool full of jelly, saying, "Come in here, it's warm and fun."
No.
And tastes pretty good.
No, he wrestled with Tracy in an attempt to handcuff him, but he ultimately failed to cuff his wrists together, and Tracy managed to punch Jeffrey in the face, kick him in the stomach, and run for the door and escape. He had just saved himself from becoming
another young wrestler who gets oil checked by his opponent, which is when they stick their finger up the
After
arse.
becoming Dahmer's, he saved himself from becoming Dahmer's 18th victim, and ended a killing spree that had started over a decade earlier. After Dahmer's arrest, searches in his apartment revealed 1 head in the refrigerator, 3 more in the freezer, preserved skulls and jars containing genitalia, and a gallery of macabre Polaroid photographs of his victims.
Neighbours.
What?
Pictures of his victims' neighbours.
No, they were pictures of his victims. It had nothing to do with his neighbours.
Neighbours. Oh, I missed that show. It ended the other day.
Jeffrey did not have many other choices than to confess, so he admitted to murdering 16 young men in Wisconsin and 1 in Ohio back in 1978. When his trial started in January 1992, one question which was asked is, was he legally insane? And, he clearly showed the signs of a very disturbed mind, but at the end of the day, Dahmer was found to be sane and fully aware. I mean, he got a job in a chocolate factory, for God's sake. I mean, don't put any idiots on in there. No, sirree. So after 2 trials, Dahmer was given 16 life sentences, plus
a trampoline in case he wanted to become a world-famous trampoliner and needed to practice.
plus 70 years.
So in that case, he's got heaps of time to practice. Get him the trampoline.
On November the 28th, 1994, there'd be a different kind of gift. Dahmer, along with fellow inmates and murderers Jesse Anderson and Christopher Scarver, were assigned a job cleaning the locker room in the prison gym for a 20-minute period. The trio were left unsupervised, and during this time...
They decided to pump iron and get all sweaty.
Scarver used a 20-inch
Dildo.
Oh, you beat me to it.
metal bar to bludgeon both men to death. And there we are, Jeffrey Dahmer is dead. He wanted to be cremated as soon as possible after his death. However, his mother and medical researchers wanted to have his brain
Put in a milkshake maker and make milkshakes to bring all the boys to the yard.
examined. They wanted to have his brain examined. Jeffrey Dahmer's father opposed the idea and wanted to respect his son's request to be cremated. And in the end, the two parents went to
Line dancing classes where they had a dance-off to find out which one of them would get their own way.
No, they ended up in court. The two parents went to court where it was ruled that Dahmer would be cremated with his organs,
Playing the tune, It's a Long Way to Tipperary.
with his organs intact. The ashes then being divided between the two parents.
That's a bit different than the version I remember.
Like I said, Tim, you knew fuck all about it, and then we've just wasted a whole 20 minutes trying to explain something that you thought you'd already seen. The good news is the new script's written, and it's called Jacob de Blade, 5 times a charm, and already we've got a few of the audio's back, and it should be up on Spreaker.com, where they take fuck all interest in what we do here at Shipwrecked. And currently we're seeking a better platform. If you're out there and you're wanting to get your hands on a very successful and highly underrated show, then get in contact with us at Hot Narrator 69.
Oh, hang on, I'll just grab a pen and jot that down. Hot Narrator.
Don't go sending requests on that, please, Christine.
You can send them to me if you want.
Well, you do what you want. I'm knocking off.
Yeah, bye.
See you soon.
See you, Narrator.
Bye, Chrissy.